and gentlemen, a 74-year-old woman was allegedly urinated upon in an Air India flight. Can you imagine the extent of the horror she had to face? Probably not. We can't even imagine. We take flights every other day. But going through something as harrowing as that? And that's not all, ladies and gentlemen. What's also shocking is that the drunk man who flashed at this elderly woman was allowed to leave without facing any action from the airline. The alleged pervert, Shankar Mishra, who's now been identified as vice president of an American multinational, Wells Fargo, got down from the aircraft and simply just left. Times Now has accessed the full complaint of the woman who alleged that after her clothes and bags were drenched in the man's urine, she went to the crew, but they didn't really help her. Instead, she was made to confront and negotiate with the perpetrator in close quarters. The woman even wrote an email to Air India, but she received no reply. It was then that the victim wrote to Tata Sons chairman directly, informing him of her ordeal. And only 32 days later, the airline approached the police. The flasher has not yet been traced by the police, and highly placed sources also tell Times Now that the accused is linked to a former top official. This may be the reason that the accused still continues to escape the law. Let's also now hear what the elderly woman said in her complaint.
A male business class passenger seated in 8A walked to my seat completely inebriated. He unzipped his pants and urinated on me and kept standing there till the person next to me tapped him and told him to go back to his seat. Then he staggered back to his seat. I immediately got up and notified the stewardess. My clothes, shoes and bag were soaked in urine. The crew spread sheets on the seat, but it was still damp and reeking of urine. I refused to sit there. The crew told me that the pilot had vetoed giving me a seat in first class. I asked the staff for a change of seat, but was told that no other seat was available. I told them that I wanted the man arrested immediately. After sobering up, the crew brought the man to me. He started crying and profusely apologizing to me, begging me not to lodge a complaint. He said he is a family man and did not want his wife and child to be affected by this. I was made to confront and negotiate with the perpetrator of this horrific incident in close quarters. In my own shock and trauma, I found it difficult to insist on his arrest or to press charges against him. After deboarding, no one came to take down my complaint. I waited for 30 minutes and left. Air India crew was deeply unprofessional, and there are also a number of failures. I emailed the complaint to Air India on 27th of November, but they have not acted yet.
Sources now also tell us that Air India on its part told DGCA that the victim rescinded the request for action after the issue was sorted. The DGCA in its statement said that it wasn't informed of the incident for a month, and now a show cause notice has been sent to the airline. Times Now has also written to Air India's deputy chairman seeking answers, but we're yet to hear from Air India. While the NCW has now stepped in and has asked for a lifetime ban on Shankar Mishra. Listen in to the NCW.
That is Air India. After the incident, they have not done anything. That is the most shocking, and they let go that man scot-free when the flight landed in Mumbai. And the lady has to go through so much torture, even after torture inside the plane. After coming down, she had to suffer so much, and even in the complaining, nobody was listening to her. And when this incident happened, the crew member did nothing about it. That was most shocking, and that's why we have taken the cognizance. The second thing is that Air India is saying that they have banned for 30 days. That is nothing. He should be banned for life. He should not be in any plane. He should not be allowed in any plane.
And latest information that we are getting is that a lookout circular has been issued against Shankar Mishra, which will possibly arm the authorities to try and nab him if he does try to leave from any airport across India. That lookout circular going out now, and we're talking about the 5th of January 2023, when the incident dates back to 26th of November last year. So a month and a half later, a lookout circular is out to try and nab this person. And that is the horrific situation that we're faced with. And this flyer, a 74-year-old woman, could have easily been you or me. And let's go straight across to the debate. Joining me tonight, Mr. Sivaraman, former DGCA and Revenue Secretary. Also joining me tonight, Dilip Cherian, founder of Perfect Relations, Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate, Swapnil Kothari, also senior lawyer, joining me on the debate. And Mr. Sivaraman, my question to you is this just sloppy behavior by the crew and the staff of Air India, or all along there have been just so many lapses that I really don't know where one can begin with in trying to find out who's really responsible for the loss of dignity and just self-respect of this senior citizen?
See, in 2017 itself, the International Civil Aviation Organization had brought out a manual relating to the legal aspects of unruly and disruptive passengers. Following it, I think the DGCA also brought out similar circulars and a very elaborate procedure as to how to handle these unruly passengers and what the airline should do. They have laid down very clearly in the circular, the airline should also issue a standard operating procedure for the crew. In this particular case, there have been failure of discharging responsibilities on the part of very many people. Number one, the section cabin crew people should have immediately tried to push the passenger away from the lady. They didn't do it. They could have called for assistance from the male member of the crew. Secondly, the captain should have taken note of it and he should have radioed the ATC and told him that such a passenger is there and we have restrained him, and please keep the police ready to arrest him when he comes out of the control. So the police would have been ready and he could have been taken into custody. Now, I think all these failures have taken place. Now, at least the DGCA can ground the pilot because, first of all, he failed in his responsibility toward that passenger who was a very old lady. You could have given her a first-class seat, put her comfortably and taken care of her, which he did not do it. This was a failure. In fact, during my period, not a similar incident, but there was a very serious incident of a pilot abandoning the aircraft and walking away, leaving the passengers in dead cold in Heathrow Airport for almost 18 hours. I suspended the pilot for 6 months. Deveshwar was the chairman. He did not report to me. I asked for a report from him because I was in London Airport on that particular day of incident. Then Deveshwar didn't report it to me. Thereafter, I suspended the pilot. He went to court against me in Bombay High Court. I was present in the court when this came up for hearing, and the judge simply dismissed the plea of the pilot. Similarly, probably a case is still pending against me in Delhi High Court after so many years. So these things happen and strict action has to be taken because these are relative of the safety of the aircraft and that of the passengers.
Absolutely. And in this case, a hapless woman, a senior citizen, was virtually, completely had a nightmarish time on the flight. And for 1.5 months, we really don't know what action has been taken. People are calling up, viewers, Sarvesh, Raj and Swaminathan on the line. Sarvesh, good evening. What do you have to say?
Good evening, Navika ji. First of all, I want to thank Times Now for bringing up this issue. So I would like to say that, earlier also I'm a frequent traveler. I've traveled to almost 21 countries in the world. So in 2004, I'd taken the Air India flight. And I was served, the only cabbage, the raw cabbage as a, sabji in my meals. And you can imagine this happened in Air India in 2004. And I find, the attitude of the crew totally, not customer friendly. And that too happening to a woman.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Sarveshji. Your experience shared by many. Raj also calling up. Yes, good evening, Mr. Raj. What's your experience?
Good evening, Navika ji. It really beats me. Even in the Aborigines races, when people don't have behaved the way this person has behaved in 21st century, that too carrying himself on an aircraft and traveling in a hapless lady of 70 and odd. And again, the entire crew was witness to it, the pilot, the staff, the stewards and the air hostesses. And he walks off after 1.5 months. He come to hear from Times Now, stating that this has happened.
And not just that, Mr. Raj, it was not the crew who actually shooed away this man from the ladies' seat. It was actually a fellow passenger. So the crew did not even take care of that. But thank you for calling us, Swaminathan. Mr. Swaminathan, do you think the lapses are just too many in this case?
Navika, it is just not the crew or the pilot. They must have got instructions from top not to take action against this person, Mr. Mishra, who is a very powerful person. And for all you know, they're giving him time so that he flees the country and he goes to one of our friendly countries where such criminals are taken care of.
Well, that's a fear. That's a fear many people have expressed. Also joining us, thank you, Mr. Swaminathan. Prabhu Raj joining us from Ooty. Good evening, Mr. Prabhu Raj. Mr. Prabhu Raj, do you think this is just an Air India problem, or do you think overall airlines are actually callous?
Good evening, Navika ji.
Sir, can you turn down the volume of your television and just speak to us? Otherwise, it's difficult to hear you.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, while you do that, let me get in Dilip Cherian. Dilip Cherian, is this an airline problem, or is this more widespread, other than Air India also? Callousness, because in this case, the pilot even vetoed the suggestion of the crew members.
I think the fault lies clearly with the airline. 32 days of delay. Thank God the Times now has raised the issue and is persisting with it. There is no doubt that the pilot knew, so there was no fault as far as the crew was concerned since he was asked about this. There is no space for apologies of being kind here or getting the passenger to do a samjhauta with the criminal who did this act. The fact is that this is exactly what we expect private ownership to not do. We are all trying to focus on Minister, DGCA. The fault lies distinctly and clearly with the airline, and the airline needs to be held responsible and accountable for this.
Swapnil Kothari, and that's the question I want to ask you. 35 days, and this comes to light now, and the crew members are actually making this woman who suffered at the hands of this man, this senior ranking official, as we now hear in a multinational company, they want him to sit and have a dealing with him that he should pay for the dry cleaning or replacement of her clothes. I mean, is this a complete subversion of any sensitivity in this case that could have been kept by the airline crew?
Yes, Navika, to that extent, I agree with you that they could have put her in the first class. They could have avoided this.
There cannot be any compromise or a samjhauta
as far as this aspect is concerned. At best, the airline could have said that possibly try to detain him, once they get down. But that is one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is that I would have wanted that lady to make sure that the man is detained. She may be in a state of shock. I completely understand that. But thereafter, even after a day or two, maybe that man is let off free.
So you think the 74-year-old woman who the airline did not even take care of, who the airline said they would help her and get her out, was left stranded even at the airport when she landed. She should have ensured that this man was detained, and the airline should not have done anything. I find that suggestion preposterous, Swapnil Kothari. Pardon my saying that, but Prabhu Raj, Mr. Prabhu Raj on the line. Yes, Mr. Prabhu Raj.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Is this an airline or it's a street? I just want to ask, is this an airline or a street? How dare that person act like this? Why did the crew member silent? Did not take action? The crew members must be sacked at first attempt. The airline must.
I would tend to agree. I would tend to agree with you, Mr. Prabhu Raj. But we're waiting for action. A lookout circular has just been issued. Well, we don't know what happens next. But thank you for joining us. Also joining us on the phone line is Mr. Abhishek. Good evening, Mr. Abhishek. Do you buy the explanation given by Mr. Swapnil Kothari that the lady in question should have ensured that this man, indecent man, should have been detained? Was it really up to her, not the airline? Mr. Abhishek? Neeta is joining me from Mumbai. Good evening, Neeta.
Good evening, Navika. This man, he should have been arrested at Bombay airport itself.
Yes, but nobody did so. Nobody did so, Neeta.
Yeah,
I completely echo your...
Airlines have got more authority compared to the passenger.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Sanjay Hegde, that's my question. Swapnil Kothari says that, this lady should have made sure that he was detained. Was it really up to her?
I disagree. I totally disagree. This was a failure of leadership in the first instance. Ultimately, the pilot is responsible for the particular flight. He should have ordered the crew to detain the man, hand them over to the police. She failed also to provide another seat. If there were seats available in first class, she should have been upgraded there and then. This is a total failure both of imagination, service, and it definitely is a deficiency in service for which the airline has to pay. Quite apart from the regulator, the DGCA, which has to take very strict action, the pilot must be grounded at the very least.
Absolutely well said. And joining us is Mr. Madhusudan from Bengaluru. Mr. Madhusudan, do you think 30 days Mr. Shankar Mishra being put on the no-fly list is enough action against him?
Definitely, it is too long. He should have been arrested. One thing, and the entire crew also should be suspended, and the pilot also. And I would give one more suggestion. Why can't this liquor be banned in Air India in that particular route for some time, so that the entire
You agree with that, Dilip Cherian? Banning liquor on the route will solve the problem?
Prescribed by the DGCA himself or herself in the rules. 30 days the maximum period for which a man can be banned from entering the flight. In this particular case, 2 offenses have been committed under the IPC. One is obscene behavior of the person, another is causing public nuisance. So this warranted the captain to inform the ATC to keep the police ready to arrest him. So it is the captain's failure. Primary failure is that of the captain of the aircraft. He should have been grounded by the DGCA by now.
Okay, well said. Mr. Alok joining us on the phone line. Mr. Alok, Mr. Sivaraman, who's an experienced man, has held the DGCA's position, says the captain failure is the topmost failure and he should have been grounded on day one. Why are we waiting? What do you think?
Thank you. I just have two comments. I think Mr. Hegde made a point that the action lies with the captain of the plane, and I personally think the air crew is given too much protection. They are responsible for passengers at 30,000 feet or 40,000 feet above the ground, and the action must be taken against the captain. He shouldn't be grounded. He shouldn't be suspended. He should be summarily tossed out.
Well said, Mr. Alok, but we are still waiting for the first round of actions to be taken. There is, of course, the violation of the flying rules, but there is also violations in the IPC, which have only come to light because we in the media have picked up this entire issue. It really wasn't the company, the airline, the DGCA, which even knew anything of the sort had happened on the airline. And that, to my mind, is the scariest part of this incident, really, that nothing comes to light unless the media brings it to you. And we will continue to demand for action, not just about the arrest for the violations of all the IPC sections, but also action against the crew that really made this lady experience such a nightmarish time on that flight. Not that it makes any difference, this is not acceptable if somebody did it in an economy section, but that this is happening in the business class section just tells you that money doesn't buy you comforts. It can only sometimes even give you nightmares of the kind Miss Rekha actually experienced. God help us. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on the News Hour tonight. Good night. Be safe.